Hi, everyone. Welcome to our children's talk. It's Easter. We're celebrating Easter, the resurrection of Jesus, and I have got an Easter egg basket, and it's filled with lots of wonderful gifts. I have got, well, there's a bunny rabbit, lots of bunny rabbits, actually, little bunny rabbits, and there's lots of Easter eggs. I would open one and see what I can find in my egg. Oh, this one has got a chick. Now, what does this baby chicken remind you of? What can it tell us about Easter? Well, it reminds me of new life in Christ because when we celebrate Easter, we celebrate the fact that the death and resurrection of Jesus gives us new life, which means that after we are dead and we're buried, we get to rise up again and spend eternity with Jesus. Now, that's awesome. So I'm just going to open another egg and see what I would find. Oh, that's empty. Now, what can this empty egg tell us about Easter? Empty tomb. Yes, Jesus's tomb was empty on Easter Sunday. Okay, before we get into all of that story, I am just going to have some juice. Now, my juice cup. Do you know that if multiple people view this cup of juice, they would have different perspectives about it? Some people could look at this cup of juice and say, oh, the glass is half empty, while others could look at this cup of juice and say, oh, the glass is half filled. Now, this solves everything, doesn't it? Everyone would look at this glass and say, it's empty. But do you know that people could also still have multiple perspectives about this empty glass? Some people could look at this glass and grumble about the fact that there is no orange juice. It's completely empty. While others could look at this glass and think about all of the yummy drinks they could fill up on this glass. Milkshake, chocolate drinks, orange juice, apple juice. So that is multiple perspective. And speaking of which, let's get back into our Easter story. Now, on Easter Sunday, a disciple of Jesus, one of his followers, Mary, went to the tomb and she saw that it was empty and she was upset and she ran and told two other of Jesus's disciples, Peter and John, and the three of them went back to the empty tomb. All saw the same empty tomb, but it had three completely different perspectives. Now, Peter, the Bible tells us that Peter saw the strips of linen and the clothes that Jesus was buried in, and he was probably very curious. I can imagine him thinking, what does all of this mean? And the Bible tells us that Mary was sad. She saw the empty tomb and she was really sad. She didn't even go into the tomb. She wept because she thought that the body of Jesus was probably stolen. And the Bible tells us that John, the third person who went into the tomb, believed. He saw that it was empty and he completely believed. Now, we don't really know what John understood, but he probably saw the tomb and he remembered that Jesus had taught that he would die and rise again from the dead. So John completely understood that Jesus was reason that the empty tomb means that Jesus was no longer there, but he is alive. So now, over 2,000 years later, as we celebrate Easter and as we think about Easter, lots of people still have different perspectives about Easter. Some people are curious about the resurrection of Jesus. Some are sad about the story. Others believe, while so many others do not even believe at all. So how about you? What is your reaction to the Easter story? Are you curious about it? Are you sad about it? Or do you believe? Now, Jesus wants all of us to believe in his resurrection and the new life that the story of the resurrection gives us, the new life in Christ. And something else that Jesus wants us to do with the resurrection story, we can learn from Mary. Now, Mary eventually saw Jesus and she believed. She saw him on the road and she finally believed that Jesus had been risen from the dead. And Jesus told her something. Jesus told Mary to go and tell all of the other followers that he has risen from the dead. And Jesus wants us to do the same. Jesus wants us to tell others that he is alive and he gives us the hope of new life. So that is my prayer for us this Easter season, to believe in the resurrection of Jesus and to share the good news with others. God bless you and thanks for joining us.